What's going on, guys? It's Jake. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be explaining how my clothing brand Messi changed my life forever. I'm here to tell you guys in this video that it's possible. I was literally in your position 2-3 years ago. Same exact position on the other side of the screen. Lost. I didn't know what to do. I need to tell you guys that it's possible and everything's going to work out. God has a plan for you. Right? With that being said, if your dopamine is fried, if your brain is fried, if you can't watch an unedited video past 2 minutes, click off the video right now because this isn't for you. This video is for someone who's motivated, someone who's just starting, and someone who's lost and wants to ask himself, is it actually possible? My answer is yes, because me and all of my friends who tend to have the same story, who live the same life I live, have. I'm telling you guys, it's possible. So please listen up. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys can relate to me at least a little bit because I'm going to be explaining all the troubles and everything I went through in my life. With that being said, I was born in San Diego, California in 2005. This is pretty irrelevant because I moved probably 2 years after to New Jersey. And my parents were pretty well off. I'm not gonna lie. I'd say we're middle class, if not higher middle class. We had a pretty nice house. We didn't have a nice car or anything, but I'd say they were well off for sure. And what's crazy is both of my parents were actually professional bodybuilders. They're both jacked. They're almost 60 years old and they're still jacked, right? So I was bred to perform. I was bred to be an athlete. My whole goal for my parents was for me to play D1 football, D1 basketball, to do all this stuff. So they were so strict on me in school, sports, and almost everything I did, right? So with that being said, they got me on travel teams. They put me in trainings and did all this shit young. So my genetics are ridiculous. Starting out with my life, I always had the mindset where I needed to do something different. School was never for me. Literally, I remember in 3rd grade, this is when I was a little player back then. I had a girlfriend and she always told me that I was the stupidest one in the class and that I would fail every test. And, that ended up carrying me through high school because I almost didn't graduate. I'm not going to lie, but we're going to get into that later. So yeah, it was just always on my mind where, school wasn't important to me. I wanted to play a professional sport. Starting out when I was a kid, probably 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I wanted to play in the NBA. Look at me. I'm not NBA caliber. I'm white and I'm 5'8". I'm low-key a hooper, but I wasn't a NBA hooper. I was going to play D1 lacrosse, right? Probably 5th, 6th grade too. This is where I was like, damn, I need to go pro. So what I would do, I would dedicate every single day to this. Probably I'd say 6, going into 7th grade, I was like, I want to play Division I lacrosse and I want to make this work. So every single day, my day would be wake up, go to school, train. And I'd say that was my life until about 8th grade. So 6th and 7th grade, all I would do is train. On the weekends, I'd hang out with friends and stuff, go to lacrosse tournaments, go to lacrosse training. That's all I did until 8th grade when COVID happened. And, by this time I was in 8th grade, I was a little burnt out. And I'm very thankful that COVID happened because I hated lacrosse. Going into 8th grade, I hated lacrosse. I was so burnt out, I didn't want to do it anymore. And, I thought to myself, like, what am I doing with my life? What do I want to do? At this time, I still really, really wanted to play Division I lacrosse. And, I was still reaching my goals, but I was getting to a point where I was like, is this even worth it? Because this is where the allegations where lacrosse players are poor were coming out. Lacrosse players make fucking $3,000-$4,000 a month. So this is where the allegations were coming out. I was like, do I want to play professional lacrosse? Do I even want to go to college to play Division I lacrosse? And that was my mindset all throughout 8th grade until COVID happened. We didn't have a season, obviously. I'd say COVID happened, I think it was March 13th exactly. So all 8th grade, I was training to go to Division I. And I even actually started my first business too to raise money to get a lacrosse stick, a new one, because my parents, they wouldn't give me a new lacrosse stick. Again, they were hard on me. They were well off. I didn't get any handouts. They were pretty hard on me too because I was their firstborn, and they really wanted me to play at the collegiate level really bad. So they didn't give me any handouts. They, you know, raised me to be a pretty tough kid. And, you know, what I did is I actually started a lacrosse brand. Everyone who played lacrosse growing up or plays lacrosse now knows the brand Go USA. That's the brand that I kind of based off of. I based all my marketing off of them. I would create lacrosse mixtapes and do all that just to sell stickers. And what I did, I probably saved up, around $200 to $400 in my Venmo account. It was pretty good. And, you know, at this time it was around March. Next thing you know, COVID happens. School shuts down. We had one lacrosse practice, which I used my old stick for, and the season ended up getting canceled. And, you know, I was like, damn, what should I do? I'm bored. You know, for the first couple months of quarantine, obviously, you know, I was just being a normal kid. All I would do was wake up, do my online school, and play Xbox all day. Skate 3. That was my game. And that's all I would do probably until around, I'd say, June. I was like, you know what? I'm actually glad lacrosse isn't a thing anymore because I don't like it. I need to actually become rich. I asked my dad, I remember this so vividly. I'm like, Dad, how much do lacrosse players actually make? He's like, you know, Jake, they don't make that much money. Probably 60, 65K a year. And I was like, 65K a year? How much do you make a year, Dad? And he told me the honest truth, and I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. My dad, he made probably around, I think he said like $200-something thousand a year. And, you know, me looking back as an 8th grader, $200,000, that's a lot of money. And lacrosse players, you know, he makes double than a professional lacrosse player. My dream? What am I doing? So I was like, you know what? Fuck this lacrosse shit. I'm going to start a business. I dumped that $200 into NFTs that same day, and I probably lost it all within a week. I thought I was so productive trying to day trade these NFTs, knowing damn well I would just lose all that money. You know, I probably traded at $15 at a time, and I don't think I was profitable once. So I lost all that money in like a month span, and then I was like, damn. But I knew, I had this mindset from the beginning that anything in life didn't come easy. Business didn't come easy. Playing at the collegiate level, playing at the pro level didn't come easy. So I was like, you know what, it's fine. I'm going to try something else. I want to do YouTube. And I actually deleted this channel, which I regret to this day because my old videos were hilarious. And what I would do trick shot videos and all that stuff. And they were hilarious. I would do them with my friends in quarantine. Me and my friends back in high school would still hang out anyway during quarantine. And all we would do is film trick shot videos, try to go viral like Dude Perfect. And now I don't think a video got over 100 views. That's what we would do for a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I actually have to man up. This is when we're going into freshman year. And I was like, I have to start a real business. This is where I found guys like Iman Ghazi, Jordan Welsh, Morgan Hope, all these guys on YouTube. And I was like, I want to be like them. So what did I do? I started researching and researching and researching and researching, taking notes on YouTube videos for hours and days and days and days. And what did I do? I never took action. That's the problem with you guys. All you guys want to do is learn and learn and learn and try to gain as much, you know, knowledge as possible and just waste people's time, and you never start. I can guarantee, put it on everything, if I started and actually took action freshman year, when I first had the thoughts about starting that online business and actually making it happen, I would be a millionaire. You know, I see myself becoming a millionaire within probably 2 years. If I started that business freshman year, I would definitely be a millionaire now at the age of 19, 100%, because I started early. That's 5 years. That's a long time. You know, I probably didn't take action or do anything until sophomore year. Sophomore year was a very quick year. This is when I got into lacrosse again. I was still playing lacrosse heavy. We had trainings year round. So I was doing that, going home, trying to figure out what to do with this business shit. So I would go to school, go to training after, and I'd probably get home around 5. I would go to the gym. I'd probably get home around 6:30, 7. During that time, 7 to 10 or 11, I'd stress, figure out what I wanted to do. What did I want to do? I don't know. I had no idea, and I was still trying the agency stuff for a while until I was like, you know what? I'm going to edit YouTube videos for people. That ended up lasting like 2 weeks. My only client was my cousin. My cousin actually runs a clothing brand now too, which is pretty cool. And he was my first client. He paid me $100 for 20 videos. I was so hyped. That was my first dollars online. So Connor, if you're watching this, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. You started everything. Besides that, I couldn't get another client after that. I was outreaching to 50 people a day. I didn't have anything to back it up. I wasn't good at editing. My cousin just did it because, we're cousins and he wanted to support my business. So yeah, I had no results basically. And my editing was ass. So I was like, what could I do that could make me rich? And at this time, I kept seeing this guy all over my feed. I'm not going to name his name. I saw his YouTube video, his reels, everything like that. And in one of his videos, it was a penthouse tour vlog in a certain city. And he's like, if you guys actually want to work with me one-on-one, join my inner circle. DM me to learn. Next thing you know, I DM him, I really want to join. I've been begging this kid to join. And he always asked me, do you have this amount? Do you have this amount? Do you have this amount? I would always say no. Until one day, I DM'd him. I was like, hey, I have the money. How did I get that money, you ask? I got a loan from my dad. Like I said, my parents were pretty well off, pretty high middle class. So they had money left over. And he's like, you know what, Jake? Fine. You have been begging me for weeks, almost a month now. I'm just going to do it. You have to give me this money back after every dollar you make. So what did I do? He gave me the money. He gave me $2,500. And in that span, I joined this person's course and mentorship for around a week. And yet, again, he upsold me again on a pre-built store. And I ended up paying $1,500 for a pre-built store. Anyone who's in e-commerce and knows this, that $1,500 is ridiculous. No one should pay $1,500 for a pre-built store, not even like $200-300 for a pre-built store. And I ended up getting scammed because he ghosted me a week later. And after I exposed him, I was very stupid because this guy's very powerful and he banned my Instagram, he banned everything. But I ended up getting kicked from his group and he blocked my number and everything. So I have had no contact with this guy since. The only person I had contact with in that group was one guy. His name's Tanner. I'm actually going to get into that later. I ended up actually telling my dad I got scammed and he got very mad at me. He made me get a job and everything like that. So sophomore year, this new restaurant in town opened. It's called Charlie's. And, I wanted to try it out. My parents were begging me to get a job because, again, they wanted me to go to college. They wanted me to do the traditional path. So I got a job. And I was playing lacrosse at the time. And I didn't like it. I was a busboy, as you guys can see here. My paycheck was literally $6 an hour plus tips. But it was at like this fancy restaurant. So the tips weren't that bad. But I still probably ended up making like $10 to $14 an hour to save up to end up paying my dad off. And I ended up paying my dad off after months, probably 2-3 months. And this is where I was still testing products on dropshipping and I never got it. And this was sophomore year going into the spring where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to play Division I lacrosse. I can't do this anymore because this is my 4th failed business. And this is where I was really stuck. I didn't know what to do. I was so stuck, bro. And during lacrosse, probably for the first month or two I was playing, I was good. I started on varsity as a sophomore. And I hated it. My coach was a dick. And he made me hate lacrosse. And I did not like it at all. And I was miserable. I was depressed. I wanted to get out. And I needed to get rich. This is where my mindset. And this is where I started to stress. I was like, damn, I need to get rich. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do. I'm stressing so bad. And I didn't know what to do. And my voice and, me as a little 15-year-old kid, why should I be going through this stress? And why am I thinking the way that I'm thinking? You know what I mean? It's not fair. And all of a sudden, I'm scrolling on TikTok, scrolling. This was probably, I'd say, May, sophomore year. This guy pops up on my For You page. His name is Alex Sedlak. And this dude genuinely changed my life. I saw this one TikTok. He actually lives in Miami at the time of making this, which he lives on the other building, probably like, 2 or 3 blocks down, which is pretty crazy to say now. But I saw this dude and I saw this one video about the law of attraction. And this is where I really started to get into the manifestation, the affirmation, and all this stuff, right? He was putting papers on his wall about some affirmations, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. But I ended up following him that day. And I kept seeing his videos about how the mindset, how the matrix, and how the world works, right? So I was doing research on him, Luke Belmar, all these guys were on my For You page now. And I was like, the matrix isn't real. I don't need a job. I don't need college, and I could really make this work. But again, I wasn't doing shit. I was watching these videos, getting motivation, and I was stressing because I didn't know what to do. So my days for a little bit were school, lacrosse, stressing, doom scrolling, not knowing what to do until midnight. Planes going by. And again, like I was in a tough spot where I didn't know what to do. And I ended up actually joining this guy's program again. So I spent another, $100, $200. This was saved up for my job at the time. And I joined his Discord server. And it was pretty good. I got some access to him, and it was basically just all mindset at the time. And this is when I started to get into crypto again. Again, I lost it all. And then all of a sudden at school one day, my friend comes up to me and he's like, Jake, let's start sports betting. And me being the guy I am, I'm like, I'm down anything for money. So we start sports betting. We actually start researching this. And I guess you could say this was my come up. My first ever sports bet. This was the luckiest thing of my entire life. This was now summer going into junior year. And this is where I was like, I hate lacrosse, I'm done. I need to make money. And I remember this so vividly. My first ever sports bet, I had my dad make an account for me. And I put $100 on a 12-leg parlay. It was the NBA Finals. So I think it was like June, July, or even May. And that shit hit, bro. That shit fucking hit. A 12-leg parlay on the NBA Finals on FanDuel. $100 to win, I think it was $1,800. Every leg smacked. And the last leg, I remember so vividly. It was Draymond Green over 5.5 rebounds. He had 5 rebounds in the fourth quarter. He got his 6th rebound with 30 seconds left. I was jumping up and down, up and down, up and down. And I got a taste of my first $1,000. As degenerate as this sounds, I came up off of sports betting and I made my first $1,000 online from sports betting. I know that's sad, but that's the truth, and that's what's different about me. $1,800 like that, my opinion on money changed forever. It took me a month to make $1,800. I just made $1,800 in one night from sports betting. So I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I quit my job right away. I quit that next day. I said, I'm going all in on this. I put $1,000 in my bank account, set aside. I played with 800. I won. I was slamming $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 bets. And I saved up 10 racks from sports betting. I was 16. Next thing you know, I lost it all. The next season, it was still summer. This was NFL preseason. I slammed 2K on Rams money line. That shit hit. I probably had around $13,000 in my FanDuel account. And that next week, I decided to go all in and double it. And I lost every single dollar. I lost every single bet. And this is where I was playing smart too. I was in a lot of groups and everything like that. I was doing straight bets, one legs, and I lost. So I had $1,000 to my name at the time. And this was still during lacrosse, where this is where I quit lacrosse in the summer. So I was playing travel and club from 8th grade to junior year. I was on a team called Mad Dog National and 91 National. If you guys play lacrosse again, you guys know those two teams. Those teams are very good. And I would travel all over and play. And at that very moment, I was like, I don't want to play Division I lacrosse anymore. Even though I actually did get an offer from a school, Jacksonville University, I didn't want to play. And I just denied it automatically. And I was like, I don't want to play. I want to play for fun. And yeah, I had $1,000 to my name. All of a sudden, I get a text from my friend. And he's like, hey, let's make a clothing brand. This was August going into junior year. And I was like, all right, bet. This was my neighbor. And I go over to his house. We start planning. I had this notebook with all my notes and everything written down on it. And I was just planning until we came up with our first drop. Our first drop were 3 t-shirts. These were the t-shirts. They were horrible. Horrible, but we started marketing organically. This is where I made TikTok and Instagram, and this is where the real grind came in, where I was like, I have to get rich. I have to make this clothing brand work. Little did we know our clothing brand designs were horrible. And I was marketing on TikTok, and I think I got 1 sale out of the drop. But I ended up, we ended up selling out and making around $2,000 on the drop. But we made $1,000 that first day from a bunch of kids in our school, our family, stuff like that. So we sold out locally just for people to support us and just build up that capital, right? The second drop is where we started to actually take things serious. And it was me and my friend. This was the last drop with my friend. We ended up dropping hoodies. It was the same thing. And halfway through, he wasn't doing shit. All he was designing. And I had a talk with him. I'm like, you know what, bro? I don't think you're doing enough. And he agreed with me. He's not an entrepreneur at heart, and that's okay. Some people aren't like that. He's doing very well for himself now in college, and he actually is a pretty successful music career, which is pretty cool. So he's doing good on his own. I'm proud of him, but the clothing brand stuff isn't for him, which is completely fine. So this is when I started to take over the business, and this is where I really started to take things serious, and this is where I really started to turn up. This is where I got my mentor. His name is Justice. He's actually from my hometown as well. I just met up with him recently, but he changed my life, I'd say, in the clothing brand part. I paid him $1,700, and he taught me everything I need to know about a clothing brand, growing organically, the site, the offer, everything there is to it. He taught me, and my next drop on 3 hoodies, I'll put them up right here, I made $4,000. This is where I was like, I could actually do it. I could actually run a successful clothing brand. I could do it, bro. I made $5,000 in 4 months with my clothing brand, first starting. And I was a junior in high school. I was 17. And I was like, damn, I could do this, bro. I could do this. Next thing you know, it's summer. And I'm about to go into my senior year. And I dropped these mesh shorts. These are the infamous, Paisley mesh shorts, which we love. And this drop, I made my first $10,000. $10,000 online in a month? That was my first 10K month. It was July 2023. July 2023 was my first 10K month, and I was so excited. I was so hyped. I had pictures of me on the screen right here, and I was so proud of myself. I was like, I could do this shit, bro. I'm an entrepreneur. I could do this. I don't need school. I don't need nothing. And this was my part where I needed to grind. I needed to grind. And that's what I was doing. I was selling out. This is where I started reaching out to influencers, and this is where I really decided I'm going to be a clothing brand owner. Next thing you know, I decided to drop these cargos because fall's coming up. And, long story short, they completely flopped. Completely. I was marketing for months, and this is where I really started to learn social media. This is where I really started to learn how to go viral. And this is where I was going viral often. And I got views. I was getting 20, 30, 40K views per video. And, my TikTok grew to 5,000 followers. My Instagram grew to 10,000 followers. And it shit the bed. I made less than $500 in sales. I made more money on my first ever drop than this drop. And I was like, damn, what is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And I had doubts and doubts and doubts. And next thing you know, that doubt carried on because I just decided to drop some t-shirts too. And those flopped too. I made less than $1,000 on those too, because one, I didn't put enough time, and two, I made the mistake. I was a yes man. Everyone who came up to me, gave me some advice, I would take it. And one day, this kid comes up to me in school. He's like, yo, let me run Messi with you. I'm like, okay, sure, man. Because I was a yes man. I was a pussy. I didn't know what to do. So I let him do it. He invested half the bulk, and I invested half the bulk, and he didn't do any work besides that. And he ended up just taking half the drop, which is fine, It's my boy. But that's what happened. The drop ended up flopping. So I actually lost money on that drop. And then I didn't do another drop until December 2023, which was my first 10K, my second ever 10K month, December 2023. And this is the first time where I went to Miami. I turned 18. No, this is before I turned 18 actually, but I went to Miami December 2023. Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry, scratch that. And this is my second 10K drop. I made $14,000 on the Acid Wash hoodies, which you guys know now, in December 2023. But actually what ended up happening is I got scammed by a manufacturer. I only got half the hoodies. So I had to refund the other half. And I ended up actually going into debt. So my bank account was negative $4,000 for a month. And I didn't know what to do. I was tweaking. Interest was building up every month, or overdraft, whatever you call it, on my bank account. My parents didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. And I had to make it work. Next thing you know, I took a break for a little bit. And my next ever drop, I decided to drop mesh shorts in the spring because winter was almost over. And these popped. This was spring, I think it was March 2024. And this is the first time I ever went to Miami, where I actually linked up with the guy Tanner, who was in the same group where I ended up getting scammed by, and he introduced me to Miami and everything, which we'll get into later. But I went to this social media convention in Miami, and I ended up doing a Messi photo shoot there, and the drop popped. This is where I met, my roommate now, Aiden, on this Miami trip, and he changed my life forever. He set me up, which I'm gonna get into later, but I made $20,000. So I went from having negative 4K to probably 15K in my bank account in March 2024, which I know it's a little less than a year ago. And it's crazy. This is where I came up, and I was like, you know what? I can do this. I'm gonna move to Miami. I'm gonna make this work, and I'm gonna change my life forever. After that, I went home and I was in the lab. I was cooking. I did more mesh shorts. I cooked, made another 20 grand. And this is when I turned 18 in August. I decided to get my Amex Business Gold credit card. I got approved for it. I got the LLC, and this is where things started to get real. I was doing 10K a month consistently with the clothing brand, and I decided to go to Miami again. And this is where I was like, I'm gonna do it, bro. I'm gonna make this work. And this was, I'm pretty sure it was July 2024 now. I linked up with my boy Aiden and Robert. And my clothing brand was doing $10,000 a month consistently now. So I got over the point where I was flopping. But mind you, I was doing $10,000 organically. So I've been trying to get into ads for so long. I hired 4 media buyers. One of them was actually Brez, which is pretty funny. Brez is an OG. We actually talked a little bit ago, probably a couple weeks ago, but I hired him. Sadly, things didn't end up working out, which is completely fine, and I was just struggling. And I knew my next step was ads. That's all my mentor was saying, and I didn't know what to do because my ad accounts keep getting banned. No one knew the problem. My accounts keep getting banned. I didn't know what to do. My mentor didn't know what to do. I couldn't get an ad account. So I was just doing it organically for now, and I was like, in order to move to Miami, I needed another source of income. And on that trip, I actually ended up blowing a decent amount. So probably at this time, I had around $8,000, and I ended up doing one more drop. And this drop, it kind of changed everything for me. I was home. And this is where me, Aiden, and this other guy were talking every single day. Oh, we're going to move to Miami. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. This is spring lacrosse season 2, which I ended up playing. It was a good season. You know, I actually ended up having fun. But when I wasn't in school, when I wasn't in lacrosse practice or a lacrosse game, I was working on my clothing brand and I was working on my business. So that's what I was doing. And I was doing 10K a month consistently. And then, you know, senior year rolls around. I actually have a drop end up flopping again, which is more t-shirts. And it wasn't fun. And I ended up losing more money. And I was just grinding and grinding and grinding, putting my head down. Still had nothing. I didn't know what to do organically until I had one drop where I made $35,000 organically in 2 months, which was crazy. I had 35K. After all expenses, I probably had around $25,000 in my bank at this time. And I felt like him. You know, I felt like nothing was stopping me, and I felt like I could actually do this shit. So fast forward, you know, I was just building and building and building. I was probably doing $5,000 to $10,000 a month consistently until all of a sudden I popped off again and I was doing 15, 20K a month with the brand now. And this is fast forward April, May, senior year, a few months ago, probably 8-9 months ago. I was like, I'm gonna make this work. I'm moving to Miami. It's done. After lacrosse season, after I graduate, I'm done with this. But I was still having fun. You know, I was still hanging out with my friends. I was still enjoying my time. And I knew I made it. You know, I could chillax for a little bit. The grind is over. It's not over, but it's over to an extent where I can delegate my time and I can enjoy my time, right? My parents were very worried about me because all I would do is go home, work, go home, work. I barely talked to them, right? Probably halfway through senior year, I was like, you know what? It's my senior year. Let me relax a little bit. Let me have some fun. Let me spend time with family before I move. Let me do this. So I chilled out on the brand. I was probably getting 10K a month, every single month cash flow from the brand until April. I decided to do a drop. I was marketing. This was a drop where I worked my fucking ass off. I worked my ass off. I got influencers. I actually ended up running TikTok ads for this because the meta ads weren't working. And that drop, I made $51,000. Put it up right here, and that changed my life. It did. And it was crazy. I ended up, you know, taking a trip to Miami after that. Actually, no, let's go back. That drop was crazy because that was a game day. I was grinding, and I set this drop day to where I wouldn't have a game or I wouldn't have anything doing that day because I was planning to do 10K that day. And, you know, next thing you know, a game gets rescheduled. So it gets rescheduled 2-3 hours before the actual drop. So I did everything before. I woke up super early, drafted everything I needed to do for the drop, played the game, or actually, no, this was before the game. I dropped in the locker room before the game. My coach knew about this too. He knew about the brand because, you know, all my teammates and people in school knew I was making money at this time because they saw us posting some stuff and they knew, right? So my coach knew. So I told my coach beforehand, I called him up the night before. I'm like, yo, I have a drop. It's super important. Let me wait 5 minutes to actually press the button to drop and then I'll go play. And he's like, yeah, that's fine, bro. Because every single year through high school, I actually got a new lacrosse coach, which is, I don't know why, that's just how our school worked. And our coaches senior year were very chill. It was a very fun season. I'm very, very grateful for them. And I'm very grateful that my parents actually kept me in lacrosse because that was a very enjoyable season. And I actually enjoyed my time. You know, I will never forget these moments. And, you know, you guys watching this on the other side of the screen, you're most likely a kid. Enjoy your time, please. Because right now, I'm still putting in 12, 13-hour days doing this shit, and some days it sucks, but it's gonna end up paying off in 3-4 years. You know, when you exit the company, you're sitting on millions, and you're gonna be able to do whatever you want. So please, if you're a kid and if you're young, enjoy your time. I beg you. But he's like, yeah, bro, it's cool. His coach was a college kid, so I said, yeah, bro, it's cool, whatever. I do the drop, I play the game. I actually ended up getting a hat trick that game because, like I said, I was fucking raw. I was good at lacrosse. Getting a hat trick, I come back, I check my phone, 7K in sales in 2 hours. I show my coach, I show my teammates, for like, damn, what the fuck? This was a surreal moment too. I ended up hitting 10K on the day, and I was like, damn. I went back home, I showed my mom, my dad, I started crying because I knew, I was like, I'm actually making my dreams a reality. I made $10,000 in a day. Holy shit. Holy shit. 10K in a day. And I just knew, bro. I knew from that day on I could never go back. And that's when I started skipping school. That's when I started going hard as fuck. I was skipping school, right? But I was still hanging out with my friends and I was still enjoying time. And next thing you know, it's June. I get called down to the principal's office, and he's like, Jake, you're not gonna be able to graduate. I'm like, what? Because all I wanted to do is graduate to make my parents happy, because my dad and mom, I talked to them. I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna move to Miami in August. I'm gonna spend the summer here and then I'm out. And my mom was so upset about that. She didn't want me to do it. And my dad was like, you know what? It has to be done. You know, you didn't even get into a college anyway. It doesn't matter. They've seen what I've been making. And my dad was fine with it. My mom didn't want me to. And once the principal called my mom after, she was furious. I was so scared to go back home. And the principal said, Jake, I remember this vividly. For the year, you have a 59 in math, a 60 in English, a 45 in, I think it was some bullshit class like photography or some shit. You're not gonna be able to graduate. I'm like, no, there has to be a way. There has to be a way. Once again, you know, I dick sucked my teachers, so they ended up giving me a 65. And I had to do a lunch detention every single day in May in order to actually graduate. So I ended up graduating, which is okay. And at this time, everyone knew about my 10K day. Everyone knew that month I made $51,000, which is not good. I don't know how they knew. I think my mom posted it on Facebook or something, but she knew, and it was crazy. Because during that graduation, everyone was coming up to me, and I felt success pretty early on. And a bunch of people congratulated me, and I was like, wow, did I really do it? And, you know, senior year goes by. Everything's pretty normal. I'm just working on my business. I'm doing around probably 20K a month now. I end up going to Miami and staying in an Airbnb with my boy Aiden, who I live with now, and my boy Robert. And this trip changed my life forever. This is when Aiden was like, yo, bro, you should start doing your Discord too. So I started my personal brand. Aiden, if you're watching this, I cannot thank you enough. This day on this trip, that's when I started my Instagram account. I'm pretty sure it was like June, no, it was July something. I started my Jakeyecom Instagram account. And within a week, I blew the fuck up. I went from 0, because I knew how to go viral before. I blocked everyone from my school, and I hit 10K. I went from 0 to 10K followers within a month. And during that trip, Aiden taught me everything I knew about how to start a personal brand and everything like that, and I ran it up. It changed my life, because that personal brand ended up getting me sales, you know, my clothing brand. And, you know, during that trip too, I had a drop. That drop, I was expecting to make 15K in a day. And I vlogged it, actually. That was going to be my first YouTube video, and I ended up actually making 9K in a day. And I was very upset because I didn't make 10K in a day. That's an insane problem to have now that I think about it. I didn't end up posting it, but I knew my life was changed forever. You know, me and Aiden were looking at apartments and doing all that, and that was the trip where I was like, damn, I am living the life that I want to live. And, you know, it's pretty crazy because I stayed home, went home for 2-3 weeks, and I ended up moving to Miami. I ended up actually, you know, getting a BM from my boy Ahmed, who runs it up with dropshipping and e-com. And he taught me a bunch of stuff about ads. Same with my mentor, he taught me so much about ads, and I just started to run it up. where I'm doing consistent 30, 40K months with the brand. And now I built a crazy team of influencers where they're just marketing everything for me, and I'm just getting sales every single day, you know, doing 30K every single month with my clothing brand. And it's pretty crazy, you know, what could happen within a year, right? A year ago, I was doing maybe 3, 4K a month with my clothing brand, to now where I'm doing 30, 40, and I had a $50,000 a month with my clothing brand, which is ridiculous. I bought my dream apartment. I'm about to buy my dream car, a C8 Corvette, and it's crazy because I'm doing this all at the age of 19 where I have time freedom, I have location freedom. I could get up whenever I want. I could go to sleep whenever I want. At the time of recording, this is 2 a.m. I don't have to wake up tomorrow. I could wake up at 12 and still make 2K tomorrow. It doesn't matter. You know, that's the ultimate goal, and that's where I'm at, and I'm here to tell you guys that it's actually possible. If you guys put in the work, it is possible. That's all I have to say. You just have to put God first. You have to speak things into existence. You have to learn the law of attraction, and you have to make shit happen. You know, if you put God first and if you put in the work, everything is going to fall into place and everything is going to work out. I can promise you that, because I'm living proof. Aiden's living proof. All my friends down here are living proof. Everyone you see on YouTube is living proof. Even Brez. Literally, I bring Brez up because I used to watch Brez from the start too. He was in the same situation as me. We used to talk when he had his clothing brand. He just blew up a lot faster than me. And he got to where I want to be a lot faster, but we started in the same spot. And I just want to let you guys know that it's possible, right? If you guys want to get to where I'm at, I actually just opened spots for kind of my full one-on-one mentorship. If this is something that you guys would be interested in, you could go ahead, go to my Instagram and DM me the word brand. Once you do that, I'll go back to you. I'm only accepting, you know, a couple people, probably 3 to 4 people to actually bring into the one-on-one mentorship, because I'm going to make you guys a fuck ton of money, no matter who it is. If you qualify, I can guarantee I'll get you from $0 to $30,000 a month within the first 6 months, 100%. Right? So if you want to take that risk, if you actually want to go ahead, join the mentorship and have someone like me who's done it in the past guide you, go ahead, go to my Instagram, DM me the word brand, and then we're going to run it the fuck up. This video is good. I just kind of wanted to explain my story. It's 3 a.m. I'm delirious. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.